Hello, this is a tutorial on how to make drums on the Digitone. I made a couple of patches that sound like this. Let's just jump right in. I have an empty pattern, empty bank, and all the drums, there are hi-hats, kicks, and snares I'm gonna talk about. And all of them are gonna start with these steps. So let's just follow this guide. On the amp page, there's the amp envelope. It's going to have a short decay and no sustain. And on the synth 1 page, there's the feedback. It should be at 100%, which we can't hear yet, and we'll hear it later. Algorithm set it to 2. And you can change this later, but I like this algorithm because X and Y are completely separate, and it's easier for me to keep track of it when they're not affecting each other. And low C ratio, so 1 or 2 is fine. You won't hear A yet. And B ratio is gonna be very high, which you can't hear yet either, even if I move the mix. Actually, I can hear it. But B ratio is going to be very high because this is going to be the source for the noise source, sort of. So on synth page 2, set the A level or A sustain or end to 0, and then set the K to something very short, 4. And this is because we'll get a click noise, which is good for kicks and snares also, I think. And B level is going to be max, and that is so that when we switch over to the Y sound, we get a noisy sound. And then filter tracking, set this one to 100. So press Func and Trig to go into the sound menu. And down here we have octave. Set it, actually not octave, that's kick. Filter tracking. Set this one to 100. You can press Func and arrow to move it quickly. So let's copy this to all the other tracks, and then save. Func and yes. Now they're all the same. Now we can move on to kicks. So to make a kick, after we've done all this, we have to go to the LFO page. Well, let's just follow the guide. We go to the LFO page, then set the shape to exponential. Set the mode to 1, so press LFO again to get to the second page. And then set the mode to 1. And then back to the first page. Destination, set it to pitch all. And then set the speed and depth to taste. And this is a very high-pitched noise or kick, so we can set the octave to -2. So go into the setup page, Func and Trig, and then near the bottom there's octave, set it to -2, or you can select -3 if you want. And let's make an okay sounding kick. I think this is okay. And then we can boost the bass with the filter. So go into the filter page, select high pass filter, and then from here I like to set the resonance to max, and then search around. We have to find a nice balance between the filter cutoff, the envelope depth, and the decay time. So let's try this. If we set the envelope to 0, there's a sweet spot around here. And we want the filter to sort of move down into the from higher filter cutoff and then fade down to this filter cutoff. Yeah, this is an okay kick, I think. You can add more noise if you want by mixing in a bit of the Y carrier or the Y sound, but this doesn't sound that good, so instead you can try to change the algorithm. Algorithm 5 sounds good. Then you can get a bit of noise into that kick. You can also increase drive to make the kick even punchier. I like to leave it at 0 because sometimes the distortion is something I don't want. Sometimes I just want the plain sub, sort of. So now we have an okay kick. And let's move on to the snare. So to make the snare, let's go to synth page 2. Yep, B level is at max. And feedback is at max. Mix Y, mix closer to Y. And I think maybe I should explain. Actually, let's just follow this guide for a bit. So the next step is set the filter to boost the mids. And yeah, so the reason I want to have the mix closer to Y is because we're going to use an LFO to make the sound move from X to Y very quickly. So we'll mix this sound, the blup sound, with the tss sound. And if we increase the sustain, you can hear it sounds something like, except really fast. So let's try that. Let's set the mix to very close to Y. And then set the LFO shape to exponential. And the mode to 1. Destination is mix. And then we can adjust to taste. And if we move to the minus range, then we'll start closer to X, and then it'll fade into our endpoint or our mix, where we set our mix. So let's try this out. I think this is okay, but we can try a different algorithm. I think 4 sounds good. And then maybe we can make the click longer. Maybe we can increase drive. Yeah, that sounds better. Okay, so now we have an okay sounding snare. And the next step is hi-hats. So we're gonna have high ratios all around. Just set everything to max. And the A operator is gonna be just maxed out 100% everything. And I forgot to write that down. To get the hi-hat sound, we need something noisy, and right now the feedback is set to operator B. I think it's B1. So let's set the mix all the way to Y, and we're gonna get the noisy B sound. So next step is set the LFO shape to random, set the mode to hold, and set the destination to amp decay time. This isn't really necessary, but it's an easy way to get some very quick variation. So it'll sound like this. So we can use actually I set the depth to around, you can, around 6 is okay, but it also depends on what the decay time is set to. You can make it longer, the variation will be bigger. But yeah, let's just stick to 6 for now. And you can either boost the mid-highs with the filter, then we can use a high-pass filter. That's if you want sort of thicker or heavier hi-hat. But you can also use a low-pass filter. I like LP2 because it doesn't... LP4 sort of dampens the sound a bit. In a way that LP2 doesn't. So yeah, you can choose either way. This one is good for bigger cymbals like rides or crashes, I think, while the low-pass one, where you boost the highs, is better for smaller cymbals. And yeah, the next step is to make variations, which is really easy on hi-hats and slightly more difficult on kicks and snares. So let's just make a simple pattern. We already have this. Let's turn this one into a hi-hat or an open hat. And we can do this by simply turning up the sustain level. And then let's make this one, this trig 2 steps long. And now we have something that sounds like this. So let's make a simple beat. Let's turn down the volume on the hi-hats. And add a shorter snare at the end here. And it's going to play only every other loop. Okay, so yeah, the easy variation. Let's save this. If I copy, actually let's just do it directly on this. The easy way to randomize is to just randomize the synth page as synth 1 page. So you can also, if we only listen to the hi-hats, we can also change the A and B levels to change the sound. So let's use this sound, and then we can try the same on the kicks and snares. Let's start with the snare. The snare is a bit more difficult because let's just take a listen. It's very difficult because it needs to be we need some of the ratios to be at very specific points. So most of the boosted frequencies come from the C operator or a C ratio. So we need these to be on a much lower ratio than the rest. Maybe this is an okay sound. Let's see. It's very similar, so let's try again. I think that's actually a good sound. So let's copy this entire pattern just so we have a backup. Paste it here and then save it. Move back here, and now we're on pattern 1 again. Let's copy this sound to this sound. And then we can change this at a slightly lower frequency. So we needed to boost a different frequency. So let's save this and try to change things. So different algorithms work very well for different drums. I like algorithm 4 and 5 for snares, same for hi-hats. And for kicks are a bit more difficult to work with because they're even more specific than snares. But before we move on to snares, let's try another thing. and that is to change the other synth page. So let's save this. That's actually a pretty cool sound, but we need to boost a different frequency, I think. So I copied it over to this slot. Actually, hold on a sec. Save this, copy the pattern, and then paste it just so we have a backup. And then back to pattern 1. Yeah, actually, I lost the other sound, so let's try to recreate it randomly. Yeah, we can try this, and if we move the frequency around, this is a very bassy sound. Yeah, it's too bassy, but we can try to increase the octave. Yeah, another thing is if we increase the amp decay time, it will sound louder because it plays for a longer time. And yeah, so it cuts itself short because the trig length is very short. So let's set it to 2 instead. Let's compare it to these patterns. Yeah, okay, so let's try to do the same thing on kicks. Let's copy this pattern, paste it here, and also save it. Move back to pattern 1, and try the same thing on the kick. I didn't like that. Let's try something else. Let's try something else. This could be interesting. Yeah, okay, there's not enough bass because the boost starts happening up here. So we can try, lower ratio on C and A. Actually, I didn't like that at all. Let's reload and try again. This could be something, I guess. Let's try to change this page. Synth page 2. and also change the algorithm. Okay, so I think I like it better on the lower octaves, so let's just change the octave to -3. It's not that good of a kick, but maybe we can increase the drive on this one and make it longer. Yeah, that's better. So let's copy this, paste it, save it, and then try again. Let's reset. Okay, let's load an empty page. Okay, I tried to reset this page by pressing the page and no, and nothing happened, or actually it reset to the saved sound. So we can just go to a different page or a different track and then take that page, copy it, go back to the kick, and then paste it. Now it's reset on the kick. So let's save this and then try again. I think this calls for a different pattern. Let's see. That sounds stupid, but yeah, it works. And yeah, that's it. I think we can probably go through the steps again, just very quickly. So all the drum sounds generally have very short amp decay and have no sustain. The only exception is when making hi-hats or open hats. And usually I like to set the feedback to 100% just to guarantee a noisy sound on the B operators. Algorithm 2 is something I rarely stick with, but I like to start out on algorithm 2 because it's easier to visualize what's happening. And generally for kicks and snares, lower C and A ratios are good, and high B ratios are good all around. And this thing with the A operators level being maximum but having a short decay is to get that click sound at the start of the note, which is good for kicks and snares. And I think it works for hi-hats too, but it gets it's more of it's not necessary, but it changes the sound, so you can experiment with that. And filter tracking is at 100%, so that the filter boost will be on the right spot no matter the note. If we remove it, actually I don't think it really mattered on this sound. So let's try it on the snare. Let's remove key track, filter key tracking. Yeah, the filter, the cutoff doesn't follow the note, so it'll sound weak up here, but down here it'll be boosted. And filter key track makes sure that the correct frequencies are boosted no matter which note you're playing. And the rest of them are just specific steps for those particular sounds. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. I hope that was helpful. And if you have any questions, I usually respond in the comments. So yeah, ask away. And thanks for watching. Bye.